Greetings and welcome to the Blackwater Cantina. And tonight I am just by myself. All lonely. Yes. Sadly, some of the others are not feeling too well, so it's just me this evening. So thought we'd have a look at a couple of bits this evening. Most notably, Crucible Guard have had their big rules drop. So have a look at the changes in there. We'll have a brief look at the Gorger. I think that's something that we're going to need to go into a bit more detail on because that's going to be really interesting. Yeah. So let's kick everything off. There's no one to ask me what I've been doing this week, but it's still working on Aberration. He is a big boy and painting non-metallic metal takes a while. So, yeah. You can see a link to my efforts at recording some painting session. I'll pop that somewhere over there. But yeah, he's underway. And yeah, got some of my Dark Operations sewer bases done as well. So those are coming out quite nicely. Have a look at those on my Instagram, which I'll pop a link to down below. So let's get into all the things going on. So Crucible Guard have just hit the My Mini Factory release with the new command starter. So that includes the new unit, the Triumvirates, Lucas Demore as the caster, Alice and Big Alice, and the new character Jack Apollo, who is looking quite interesting. And I have to say, I've already gotten prints of these sorted. They are adorable. I absolutely love the models. They're such nice sculpts, especially Apollo. He's actually quite small for most Jacks. He's not much bigger than a normal sort of large warrior model. So he's kind of adorable and got the nice, unique kind of single eye face going on. He's quite interesting, so looking forward to seeing what the sort of story behind him is. But yeah, it looks kind of cool. So in the app, first thing we've changed. We are now the Order of the Golden Crucible, and not just Crucible Guard, which is what they were before. So not a massive change, I know, but it's a little bit different. So we're just going to jump onto Lucas quickly and have a quick look here. So this chemical warfare rule has applied to every single caster. Enemy models in his control range do not roll to see if continuous effects expire, and when an enemy takes damage from a continuous effect, you double the damage dealt, which is pretty good. Corrosion doing 2 points of damage. Alright, that's not the biggest deal. Realistically, corrosion was there to kill off one single wound infantry. Now it's guaranteed to do that if you can put it on people, and there are a lot of ways in this list to put continuous effects on people. That's kind of the whole shtick of Crucible Guard. Those fire rolls doing double damage, that's pretty cool. I like that kind of thought that you can deal with some 8 box infantry is kind of the norm now in Mark IV, and usually around armor 16 as well. So you're looking at a power 12 roll from fire. On an average roll, you're looking at 19, so it's going to work out 3 points of damage normally. Doubling that up to 6, that's nearly clearing off big multi-wound infantry in one go. So yeah, that's going to make a big difference to clearing those out. Probably not going to make a massive difference to how much it does on a Jack, but yeah, it's going to be a very good way of dealing with all the squishy infantry or anything with low armor, things like that. So it's going to be quite scary against my monstrosities. I'm not sure I'm looking forward to that, but yeah, that's going to be interesting. I like the idea of that. So as I say, everyone got that. Lucas himself, I didn't actually clock any particular changes in here. I know we talked about this chap before, but he is the guy that's in the command starter, and he is Apollo's specific owner. So yeah, I think we'll start seeing him appear quite often, and obviously had that bit of synergy with little Alice, who's also in the command starter. So it's a nice little bit of synergy straight away. I haven't gone through all the spell list yet to see if anything else changed there, but I don't think there was anything in particular. But we'll have a quick look at Apollo now. So, Order of Golden Crucible Light Warjack, 11 points. So, it's on the jazzier end for a light jack, but not ridiculously so. 26 hitboxes, armor, or defense 13, armor 17. So he's not the toughest customer, but he's got some good utility in here. So light jacks tend not to be the toughest things out there anyway. So he has a bond with Lucas. If he's in Lucas's control range at the start of the activation, Lucas can heal D3 damage points. It's not a massive deal for most casters to be healing, but Lucas will be taking little bits of damage as he goes, while he juices up and takes all of those extra juicing tokens. He'll end up suffering 1 damage point for each one. You're going to stack those up to probably 4 or 5 if you can. So you're going to be taking a few points of damage here and there. So that little bit of healing is actually probably going to be quite useful. Keeps you in probably a turn or two longer. So yeah, that is good. Whilst in his leader's control range, the leader can reroll 1 failed arcane attack roll each turn. Again, it's a nice piece of support to have. Lucas probably throwing out some disintegrations and force hammers. He's going to be wanting to hit those. Obviously, telekinesis is another handy one there. So getting the reroll on that to be able to move something where you need it to, or slam something about. It's a nice little bonus to have. And then Arcane Repeater. Its control range is extended by 2 if it's within 5 inches of the caster. So just that little bit extra range. The downside of this, do you want to be within 5 inches of someone if you're using the arc node on it and your arcane realignment to get those spells where you landed where you need them to? Hanging back within 5 inches, it's a bit of a shame. However, increasing the control range for things like Burning Ash lets you put that a little bit further out. Obviously, control is only 10 anyway, so that bumps him up to 12, gives him that little bit better range on things. I can see that being quite handy. As a sort of command starter, they probably want to play quite close in anyway. You need Alice near Lucas to get the bonuses from her, so having Apollo in there nearby as well, it's quite handy. And this guy is there, I think, more... I mean, his melee attack's pretty good, to be fair, but it's more about this automatic dart launcher. So you got rate of fire 3 and range 12. It's not doing any damage, but you can apply these different effects on each one. The fun ones here is the hallucination gives enemies double vision. They're suffering minuses to hit you, and you're getting dodge as well. So if the enemy misses, you get a 2-inch move as well, so you can get away from things or reposition, get past things, however you want to sort of deal with something. My favourite one here is putrefaction, so gives enemies the chance to explode when they die. So drop that on someone in the middle of a unit, pick them off at something else, because obviously this isn't dealing any damage. A person then pops. All models within 2 inches suffer a power 12 corrosion and continuous corrosion effect. So you're going to be landing those on everyone else in the unit if you pick up the chap in the middle of the unit. So it's quite a nice little way of dealing with it. Obviously the flip side of that is you need a second thing to shoot that target, because obviously this is only just giving them that trigger to explode. And if you put that on 3 separate units as well, and then have something else to fire those 3 shots, it's looking good. And then Unnatural Affliction, tying into that, Crucible Guard focusing on the continuous effects, corrosion and fire, taking away people's resistances to those is fantastic for this list, or for this army in general. It means they're much more reliable, much more reliably going to do that double damage, and you're going to be not losing out to something that goes, well, actually resistant to corrosion, resistant to fire, whatever. This guy can take it away from up to 3 models a turn. So yeah, whatever you need to focus down, that's pretty good. Surgical implements, so power 11, however, armor piercing. So drop in anyone, a lot of jacks are armor 19, you drop in that to armor 10. Even if they've got a shield, they're armor 11, straight dice for damage on this, which is not a bad way, especially for a light jack. Mat 6, so not mostly. I don't know whether this takes into account the lethality drop that was mentioned in the keynote, so whether we're going to see these drop one more, so this will drop to 6 and this will drop to 5, or whether that is playtested including that drop already, so these are 6 and 7 and going to stay that way. We'll find out at the end of January, but all in all, for 11 points, I think he's looking pretty good. Your standard set of things up here, you'll notice fire and corrosion resistance in there, so pretty much everything I think in Crucible Guard is going to have that, and the arc node there as well. As I say, the sculpt for this guy, absolutely fantastic. His little one-eyed head, I think he looks great. Yeah, dead chuff with that, so looking forward to painting one up. Not that I'm doing a Crucible Guard army, but just couldn't resist getting imprinted to paint out. You'll notice in here the Toro and the Liberator, so these are coming in the battle group box along with Silvestro, so hence the change over to the new style pictures there. I don't believe there's any changes there. So no, I don't think anything there has changed. So they are coming soon. I think they're also going to be out this month as well, so that'll be good. New solo dropping, so he's not part of the command starter, but a new Gorman Dwarf. So in the list we've lost Gorman 1 and 2, so now Gorman 3 is in the list. Does come with a rocket launcher, however, so yeah, can't really complain at that. Only a 5 hit box solo, defense 14, armor 12, but does have stealth, so hopefully that will keep him alive. Very easy to remove if you can get hold of him, so gonna have to be very careful with him. Doesn't suffer from any gas effects, and you can ignore cloud effects and concealment from cloud effects, so you can drop all of your cloud effects. And again, that's another theme with Crucible Guard, you drop in a lot of sort of clouds and bits and pieces around. He can drop one on himself, template remains in play for the round, so he can cover your other troops while he moves up. Obviously he's got that stealth as well, so if he's more than 5 inches away he can't be seen either way. It helps him get up the table. Don't want to get too far up the table, because otherwise you're using your mat of 5 and your power of 9 with the stiletto. Not really what you need to be doing. However, experimental bomb launcher. So this is what he's all about. AoE 2, power 12, 8, range 12. Again, don't know if that's going to take into account the January coming range reduction or not. So you're firing one of these each round, nice little choice between corrosion and grievous wounds, fire and corrosion, which when they're within range of your caster don't expire and are dealing double damage, worth bearing in mind, or spontaneous combustion, gain an additional dice for each status effect or for each continuous effect on the model. So up to 2 additional dice if they are on fire and corroding, which hopefully should be quite easy to apply from other models you've got going on. So power 12, rolling 4 dice for damage. I can see that doing a reasonable amount. Requires a little bit of setup there, but if you're going to be going for a heavier target, probably not going to be too much of a challenge for you to be setting them on fire and having them corroded at once with everything else going on in the list. So yeah, interesting. This is one other thing we spotted. The Dragon's Breath rocket is now a solo. Went from being a unit with 2 grunts before. Now it's a solo with the straight up 5 hitboxes. I don't know how much of this has changed. The actual Dragon's Breath itself is exactly the same. When at 4 points, which is the same as it was before, just lost the 2 grunts which have the carbines. So yeah, marginally different there. Don't know what to really make of that other than now it's one guy pushing a giant thing around. You can model everyone on the same base, I suppose. But yeah, interesting move. Same as the other weapon teams, I suppose. So like the Mage Hunter Sniper team, things like that. They're all on the one base. So maybe it's just moving everything in that kind of direction. Again, Alice gets an update, and the Ascendant Mentalist actually gets a picture now. She's gone from the artwork that was there. So, little Alice. Again, no big changes here, I don't think. Just quickly double checking myself. No, same things here. And then same with the acid bomb, and then Big Alice. Again, exactly the same. Still weighing in at 5 points, so. But she's gone from the artwork to that. Big Alice still showing the picture there. Yeah. Again, part of the command starter, so it's a good one, and I do love the Big Alice model. I wanted to paint that for a while, so one of those getting printed as well soon. No other major changes there. Containment operatives and failed experiments still looking at artwork, so we'll see. They're probably going to be coming on much later down the line. But we do have a new unit in the form of the Triumvirate. Again, really, really nice sculpts. I was staring at this one, Rosalind 1. I had their print out in hand the other day, and it's just the detail on that is so good. I was in the midst of a D&D game, and we're contemplating us starting our next campaign, and this model has made me seriously consider making an artificer, because, yeah, she looks cool. But, weird D&Ding aside, so unit 3 character models, again, from the command starter, 10 points for a 3-man unit, so not the cheapest unit around. That's only 1 point cheaper than a unit of Dusk Cats, so they're going to have to put in a lot of work to get those points back, I think. Alchemical Mask, yeah. So each of these has this combat chemistry. At the start of each of its activations, it's going to get an elixir token, can have up to 3 at any one time, and it can spend them to gain additional melee attacks, boost attack or boost damage. It can make 1 additional attack or boost 1 roll for each token spent. So in theory, you could buy yourself a second melee attack, boost attack and boost damage with all 3 if you saved them up. Or you can spend elixir tokens to purchase one of these abilities. All 3 models in the same unit have these exact same abilities. So Ice Cage, big favourite from, well, since day 1 of the game, with the Grey Lord Turnians having this one. So range 10 arcane attack. Model suffers a cumulative -1 defense for 1 turn unless it has resistance to cold. Obviously, if it does have resistance to cold, we can take that away with Apollo. So, if you hit it with 2 or more Ice Cage attacks in the same turn, it becomes stationary. So that's pretty handy. You've got 3 models here that can do it, so only 2 of them need chuck that out, and then the 3rd one comes in and batters it with a big old hammer. Spontaneous Combustion, so range 8, 10, power 10 attack. On a direct hit, add an additional dice to this weapon's damage roll if it's suffering an additional effect, or 2 dice if it's suffering multiple. So again, same as Gorman and his rocket launcher, stacking it up if things are already on fire and burning. This one only power 10, so not quite as powerful, but still not bad. Power 10 plus 4 dice, so it's an average of 23.5 points of damage before taking off armor. So that's alright, that's not too bad. Unstable Concoction, so this turns it into an AoE. If it's suffering from fire or corrosion, or in fact if it's suffering from both, adding 2 to the AoE, so becoming an AoE 4 if something is already on fire and suffering corrosion. Even just one of those, so hit it with someone else to trigger it, and then making that AoE 3 at power 12 is still pretty good. So capable of a lot of damage coming out of these guys, and again you've got 3 possible shots for that. The attack and damage rolls can be boosted as well with that, so you could be, with Spontaneous Combustion, rolling 5 dice for damage on a power 10, so that's not too bad. On top of that, corrosive vials to be thrown around, dropping that corrosion out. Flame jets from Rosalind to get the fire out, so you fire each of those first against something, then land your unstable concoctions or your spontaneous combustions for the extra damage or the bigger blasts. Hieronymus 1, critical knockdown on a big power 14 range 2 melee weapon at mat 7. So if you've ice caged something with the other 2, then, and bear in mind these combat alchemies are on top of your attacks as well. Ice cage someone, beat him down with this. Rosalind's blessed magical sword, it's only power 10. Obviously where Hieronymus is going to want to get into combat, there's a good chance she's going to end up in combat as well, so blessed's not too bad. Injector giving again giving that corrosion out, so you can be dealing with your, while dropping spontaneous combustion on things to get extra dice out of it as well. I think that's not too bad. Obviously you don't want to be dropping this on people you're in combat with, because you still hit yourself with AoEs. Yeah, I think they're going to be an interesting, quite a fun unit to see. I think they're going to have to work quite hard to get the 10 points back, but they've got quite a good amount of damage output. All 3 models having different stats for defense and armor, and different arcane attacks, mats and rats going on as well, so just something to bear in mind. I think this is potentially what we're more likely to see with mats and rats going forward, where this one is obviously meant to be the ranged combatant, so they get 7 in rat, and then they're arcane and mat 5. I think that's going to be more of a thing going forward, where the base stats that they're not supposed to be that good at are going to be 5s, and the elite stats they've got are going to be 7s. But again, we'll see. That's going to be a couple of months away before we figure that one out. So yeah, other than that, there's probably a lot of other little changes and bits and pieces in here, but those are the main new things. And then, on top of that, Old Umbre got the rules for their Colossal. I think that goes up for pre-order at the end of this week, if I'm not mistaken. Double check myself. No, I'm not sure. It doesn't say. So, be coming up soon. Or is it already on there? Either way. So, it's almost like there's a theme of Body Snatcher with Old Umbre. It's gaining corpse tokens for anything within 10. Obviously, there's a huge number of ways to be throwing corpse tokens around and swapping them between things with Old Umbre, so definitely going to be a thing for this. Having Death Feast to heal itself, see 56 hitboxes with a defense of 9, so it's going to get hit a lot, and an armor of 18, which is quite low for a Colossal, or on the lower side anyway. It's probably going to need to heal itself at some point. That's probably going to happen. Entropic Force, very good if it's going to be playing into a trike, especially the Trichomirax from Chimera. You need a way of stopping that healing, and Entropic Force does that nicely. It's really handy, and I tend to, if I feel like I'm going to be going up against one, then I'll try and pack something with either that or Fell Curse or something like that, so that's good. Sacred Ward, because it wouldn't be Old Umbre if you could target it with spells, of course. Power 16 attacks for its claws, quite low for a Colossal, but then it's obviously got its main weapons down here, so these are just sort of the backup ones. Being able to knock down a big group of models, however, is pretty nasty. So you can go in, probably trigger this first, because you're going to want to basically make these auto hits. Being able to just knock down a big chunk of guys, that's models within 2. So when you're looking at units, obviously you bulldoze away as well, so you can push people together, compact them up a bit more, hit with one of these, knock a big chunk of the enemy down. So it's looking pretty good. Different heads, so bonuses for shapeshifters. Enemies giving out Shadowbind. That's pretty gross. And then making them easier to hit with these. Primal Shrieks, giving it extra damage for its for each corpse token, and obviously it's noted up here. This can have up to 5 corpse tokens. So in theory, this can be up to power 17. So range 12. Again, I suspect this is probably pre-January reduction, so I would expect that range to drop a little bit in the new year, but yeah, power 17 spray is still pretty good. Gives it the Rage Animus with this head. Crested heads. You can spend corpse tokens to have other things reroll, so that's pretty good. Again, Sacred Ward on your shapeshifters. This one gives the shapeshifters retaliation, so another Raw, again spray 8, power 13, but reload and powerful attack. Having played around with the Chronophage cannon on the Phantasm, this powerful attack on a spray is lovely. So, yeah. The ability to hand out some, or to give yourself blessed and magic weapons. It's nice, as you notice, most of these magical, in fact these are all magical to start with, but making them all blessed to ignore those enemy spells. And then unyielding for your shapeshifters on this one. Indomitable, so again giving itself unyielding and +1 speed. I didn't notice what its speed was, I think it was 6, but speed 5 to start with, so it's a little bit slower. So this will help it keep up with the rest of your army and get it into combat, giving it the +2 armor as well. So the Cato Spine Tails, which I haven't seen the miniature for that yet, but that sounds like it's going to be glorious. An AoE 2, power 18, 10. That's not bad on a magical chain weapon. So you're ignoring shields. It's going to drop a lot of jacks down to armor 19 or 18 in some cases. So probably rolling straight dice for damage. And there's a lot of ways to buff things up in Old Umbre as well. Primal Club, there it is. Range 3, power 21. That's your fairly standard colossal weapon, isn't it? And extra damage dice against huge base models. So that's for going colossal hunting. That's going to take down a Trichomirax along with the with its entropic force for the turn. If it spends its token, give it entropic force, go into the trike, lay waste with the club. Yeah, that's going to hit nicely. And then left arm boulder, weight of stone, giving things -3 speed and defense, range 12, so you're going to slow things down, so hopefully you can get the charge off. So you've got relatively short threat range, 11 inch threat, so this will help drop enemies down so they're hopefully not quite so far outside yours, or they can't avoid you as easily. And then the last one, the Hornet's Nest. Enemy models suffering -2 to attack rolls. It's always good. It is 2 inches, so they're going to be mostly things melee with you. Only defense 9, puts up to 11. I don't know that that's hitting any particular sort of pressure points there, but it will help any bits you've got, any support models you've got that are sticking close to this. This will help them stay alive. So support models tend to be higher defense. Drops 3-inch clouds that deal power 10 damage rolls. Additional dice against living models, and then drops their attack and damage rolls and their defense as well. So your power 12 against a lot of things rolling 3 dice. I think that's not too bad as well. So yeah, there's definitely a few ways that I can see this running. I think it's going to depend on a lot of the list, but you're going to want to keep it at least with a couple of tokens on. It's got a reasonable number of ways of generating its own tokens, but I can certainly see that hunting other colossals. I think that's going to be a pretty good job for this. So yeah, let me know what you think. Any particular combos you're seeing there that you think, right, I just cannot wait to try that out. I think we'll have a deeper delve into this one. I want to read the fluff for it because the model looks like it's going to be super cool. It's certainly going to be an interesting thing. We saw a preview of it in the keynote, so if you haven't watched our keynote thoughts, drop that one down there as well. Yeah, it looks interesting. As it is just me, I think that is all we've got going on at the moment. So we'll let everyone crack on. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Links down below. come join us on our Discord. We're always chatting hobby in there, list building, painting advice, anything like that. So come join us, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks very much. Bye.